Ooh. We got a new little banger for the intro, right, Casey?
A little gumball drop. Right there.
Oh, yeah. A little. It's Friday.
It is Friday. Feeling good today.
I'm feeling really good today, too. We're going to put together a nice little pocket episode.
Yeah, a little pocket episode. Just good nuggets.
The Friday pocket. Let me test out the cameras.
Welcome,
welcome, Friday, everybody. This is the podcast NMLS.
Oh.
So what are we cranking on today, Casey?
Well, we're going to dive in and unpack and all those words that we like to continue to use, but we're going to talk about today to see how this pandemic is affecting all the commercial real estate, and is there a possibility that this could help us solve the housing crisis issue?
I think it's got a chance.
I think it's got a chance. I think there's a good play there. So we're going to go into the reasons we think it's an opportunity, but also, you know, there's some stuff to look at to make sure it could work.
That jammer beat.
It's a good jam.
One more lap.
Swing it.
Loosen up.
And that's Casey's dance moves.
You've really honed your craft on the dance moves.
Yeah, I'm going to have to start coming up with some different stuff.
No, I like that. We'll bring in your kids to give some lessons.
Yeah, no, they got it. TikTok nowadays.
Tickety talk, don't stop. All right, so taking out the shades, good intro. Let's roll into this. So the biggest one, guys, is, man, there was a 53% drop in gross leasing for quarter two.
Big time.
I mean, that's nationally. So you're looking at half of the office buildings. I know just where we work, I think we went from 83 down to 25. So a quarter of the building only being used. And we're seeing it on the loan side with the approval of remote work. You were telling me Infinite Forever approved remote work from some of your clients this week.
Yeah, yes, sir. And there was a couple of those companies out there. I got it marked here. A couple of the tech companies, Slack and Twitter, said that they're allowing remote work for their employees forever. And I like to say it like that from, you know, what is it? Sandlot? Forever. And that's a big deal, though, guys. I mean, literally, you're allowed at these companies work remote forever.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is dynamic change. Being in the Pacific Northwest, there are a ton. I'm calling it like the 2020 Oregon Trail, because we've got San Francisco below us, we're in Portland, and then Seattle above us, and they're all coming to cheaper housing. They're all going to a more affordable housing market. And Portland's one of the top areas, Portland, Vancouver. All those people, not Vancouver, BC, but Vancouver, Washington.
Yes.
Our listeners from all across the country, I don't want them to think that we're talking about Vancouver, British Columbia, but a lot of people come in because of that approved remote work, and it's indefinite. I think I got that.
Yep.
And in most cases. So we wanted to roll into, will commercial buildings, what is the conversion going to be like? What are we going to use all this space? And can it solve the housing crisis and stop inflated rents, house prices, and make the American dream of home ownership a possibility for more people, Casey?
Yeah, for sure. And if anything, give them at least some access to opportunity of inventory, right? I mean, when it's so shorted, we're seeing that right now and have been seeing that, guys. When you have a shortage of housing industry, that's just going to continue to rise unless you're creating more inventory, right? So when you have the shortage of the inventory, then you have for everyone trying to get on these homes, bidding wars, driving up higher prices and that kind of stuff. And let's just say there's that one house, 10 people are going after it. Well, one person's going to get it, 9 are going to lose, right? So creating more inventory, I think, for those other 9 people that lost out to go find another place would be huge, right, Addie?
It'd be massive.
Now,
yeah,
is that the commercial real estate conversion to residential? We'll find out. But let's kind of talk about it, because you had downtown, right? So that would probably be your spaces most likely associated with most of these commercial buildings and stuff like that, at least centralized around a downtown. They used to be popping, right, guys? I mean, we all look forward to Friday nights, going downtown to 23rd Street or whatever, and getting
Mhm.
happy hour. And for the business meetings like us, like if there's Wednesday night, we're doing happy hours, or we're going out with family and friends for Saturday dinners, whatever it was lively. The neighborhoods were packed, the sidewalks were packed. I mean, look at it now, guys, as the pandemic hit, people went, working remote from home. They're not going downtown to the office for safety reasons, for availability reasons. And you're just seeing it being a ghost town now. Right. So it's a ghost town. So as Addy was mentioning, now you're starting to see leases, property owners running into issues with, vacant leases, half the building being emptied. We're seeing it here, even here where we work, we see different spaces, people moving out, boxes going. So,
to add to the potential too of commercial conversions, I would say malls. You look at huge malls and spaces.
I didn't even think of that.
The country does need affordable housing. So even though, we're mortgage advisors and we do mortgages for home purchases and help people buy, sell homes, there is still a need for low income housing.
Yes, sir.
Or just apartments, rentals, not even low income, luxury apartment. Owning a home isn't everybody's dream. So what are we going to do with all this space? Right. And how is that going to convert? Another addition would be the homeless communities. Like that's a huge issue in a lot of towns. So could some of these commercial spaces be converted to mixed use properties? Maybe your storefront areas are like counterless shopping, drop off areas, a whole new dynamic of a retail front with mixed apartments above, condos for sale at the top. Are we going to see a triple conversion in these buildings where it's retail rent and then like the rooftop is penthouse style where like only those units are sold? I think there's going to be a lot of creative architecture and conversion required to even make it possible. I'm not so sure, but I'll take the parking.
I'll take that parking, but I think you're right. And I think that does open up that opportunity for those developers or real estate investors to get creative with the space, right? Because every commercial space it's going to be different. It could be a mixed use space. It could be an office. It could be a hotel. Different setups, and those are going to
hotels. Just think about like the swanky, like the Nines downtown. They were building a Ritz-Carlton. That's on pause.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Pause.
The Ritz
Mr. Ritz. Just put that on pause. Yeah. What are we going to do with these?
Right. And so when we get into this kind of second section of it is then looking at converting commercial space to useful residential space, right? And we're seeing it in a couple areas that have already started this, but still that driving question behind all of that though is, will people come back to living downtown or in crowded spaces once it is all done? And that's something we're going to keep reiterating, because that's the pro and the con way of the whole discussion is, if you do this, will it succeed, right? So what we saw is like in Cleveland, they've converted office to residential conversions. And most recently, downtown in Cleveland, I think they've been having a really growing hip hop culture. It's definitely been picking up the last handful of years, last decade or so there for sure. But what's Cleveland, they converted old factories, office buildings, department stores into high-end apartments and waterfront view luxury condos. And you're seeing young professionals, hip hop artists, and sophisticated baby boomers have moved into this. And so that's a nice little vision of what could happen when you're converting those spaces.
Yeah. And just to think about some of the most amazing viewpoints from a city standpoint, like some of the hotels have the best city views, whether it's for concerts or the riverscape or mountain views. So are those going to be converted? And I'm very curious if any of them will be for sale, right? Like, are they going to be for sale? Is it going to be luxury condos? But what Cleveland might be the pioneer on these conversion timelines, and what might follow suit for the rest of the country, Casey.
Yeah. And there is companies out there and people that look at doing this, conversions and stuff. So they're already trying to see about ways, that it's going to happen. But that's a good question. What are the costs going to be? And again, for these developers or these investors that are going to look at that, I mean, there's a big financial analysis breakdown that needs to be done and to see like if the costs are really gonna be there, and then can we get the people to come back to cover that.
That's a good point. I think too, if you're looking at conversions and the different types of buildings, like obviously hotels are really easy. Existing apartments or other those will work because the interior piece of it, like plumbing, is already there. But if you're looking at, say, like an office building that only has every floor,
one bathroom, right, or two maybe.
Yeah, it's going to be, how are they going to convert
make
that
that
stuff?
Yeah, and that's a great point, Addy, because that's what they say. There is obviously different commercial buildings are going to be easier to convert than others, right? A hotel already basically, I like the word subdivided, but they've broken down, separated all the rooms. They already have their own bathrooms and own facilities and stuff for each room. A little bit easier to convert that, right, to apartments, condo stuff, office. Well, yeah, you're going to have to figure it out. One thing that's great that they mentioned is you already have built-in infrastructure, Wi-Fi, and all that kind of stuff, which is amazing to have for your apartment. So all that wiring stuff's there. But you mentioned a great point. It's the plumbing, because that's where it's going to get real costly, because you're going to have to basically redo that plumbing system to get it or add into it to make it for each unit to have their own bathroom. So that is a cost-driven view that has to be decided on.
Well, and it's like maybe we're going to move a little bit to like a lot of hostel situations. Like they have that where there's.
Hopefully it's not the movie.
But I'm just saying, like, man, what are they like? Converting all that plumbing is going to be extremely expensive. But what's going to happen when these buildings get into foreclosure? Because we're starting to see some of these from a commercial side, right, Case?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was looking for it right here. It says, we have more than half of the 600 plus hotel owners, and this is a recent survey that was done, said that they're in danger of losing their properties to foreclosure due to the pandemic. And really, there's still some years to be seen on how that's going to affect with these leases. But like I said, those companies that look into this conversion stuff with the commercial to residential, they're saying that, you're going to see anywhere, we're talking about 15,000 to 25,000 hotels that could shut down by the end of 2021.
That's unreal.
That's unreal.
There's a lot of empty space, it's like
crazy.
I'm thinking through all the different hotels I've stayed at and or been to like events and things like that. And man, the only thing I started thinking of is like maybe Amazon can take on more warehouse space. I don't know, like whether it's Amazon or their shopping center, or Google.
Could they convert some of those, maybe some like data warehousing places?
Data warehousing. Do we want to be around that?
Do you want to be around that? Do you want that downtown? Right. I know, like for us, they're the Dowels and they're putting some facilities out there. So maybe they want those away from your suburban areas or down, city areas. So that's another factor. And like we keep kind of saying in this episode, guys, we really wanted to point out those facts of we got honestly, I think a feasible opportunity here, or that could work, but that feasibility part is the big question. Can the financing work, and are we able to get people to come back into these cities to buy and live and stay in?
Well, and I think that's a nice kind of transition over to the demand of wanting to be in the city. Is that disappearing? Is it people moving to more out of city rural areas? Right. Because that seems to be a constant call, whether maybe once every other day for me, and people will be like, hey, we want to get out. We want to go an hour. Well, let's use miles because hours based on traffic, but they want to go 50 to 100 miles outside of the city, or maybe even be closer to like the coast or a lake. So they have more of a lifestyle of like, oh, well, now we can actually go enjoy the outdoors and family time. But do you think that the demand will really be there to want to live right downtown? Because it's like, okay, there's not that pop and vibe. Who knows when it'll come back? Even to throw in a whole nother curveball, protests, riots, all of those things are happening in these downtown areas. So unless you're a professional protester and that's part of your lifestyle, what else demand is there?
We got them here.
We do in Portland. It's a big thing. But I'm just trying to think, okay, what percentage of people actually do want to live downtown?
Yeah. And I think it's really going to be a city by city call. You got to really obviously see what's going on. I know us and a few other cities are really still struggling with a lot of stuff going on. There has been a handful of cities kind of bouncing back and stuff. So yeah, it could be one of those calls where, I loved your old Rose City, but maybe that wasn't the, place to come back for downtown, but Seattle looks better, or, San Francisco or whatever it is. But that probably just going to be a city by city view for sure, because I think some are going to recover quicker than others, obviously. And that's all, again, a leadership call probably too.
Yeah, most definitely. So I think it's a great point, and it's a good thing to think about.
Even like our investor guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
So our MLO investors and stuff out there, maybe think about it, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe have the call MLO, call us, see, maybe we can throw some numbers together, see what it looks like for investment property purchases and stuff, or what's out there. But for investors, it could be an opportunity that could be huge for people out there, right?
Yeah, and I know a lot of people, at least the investors, smaller investors, meaning they own maybe 2 or 3 properties wanting to grow, are wanting to look into the multifamily situation. How can they buy a 2 to 4 unit residence? And then other people are playing on the apartment situation, because the scarcity of apartments is the rent coming from the apartment stable? Because there's a lot of landlords and commercial owners right now, even just in apartment buildings, that haven't been paid in months.
Yeah.
What's going to happen? Will the Fed and the government, or the current president or the next president, whatever happens in the next couple of months here, I really feel like they need to bail out some of these people, because we're bailing out all the corporations, the airlines, different companies. But this next 6 months will be very important to see where commercial goes, the conversion, what we got to do to get to the next level and save
for sure.
housing.
And I'm sure you're seeing it too. People that are investors aren't even trying to touch it in commercial space, probably because they see this happening. They see the numbers. The fear is real there. That you could be a bad investment.
The fear is real. Our main man Joshua Billis threw in a comment for us.
Oh, we did? Sweet.
A little comment. Amazon's currently trying to acquire empty Sears and JC Penney's. I couldn't tell you where JC Penney's even is. But I remember buying clothes for first grade.
Yes, sir. Got all my pictures there.
The location's one of the country's largest mall management companies. Yeah, and back to that mall, like what's going to happen with the malls?
I think you brought up a great point with the mall. Because I think the mall could be huge for those different avenues. Low-income housing, high-rise, luxurious condos, whatever you want to convert them to. But I didn't even think about the mall space, or like you were mentioning earlier, the multiple conversion level could be huge, right? Do you convert it back to whereas maybe businesses start to come back, that bottom floor is the commercial space still, and then you have 3 levels of housing instead of 4-story malls, right?
Yeah, it'll be, and I think too, and I'm not trying to be super heartful, if that's even a word, but the homeless situation, there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way nationally to assist not only with homeless, but then more creative, income-based housing opportunities. That's dear to me, because like my first ever apartment, I moved into a month after graduating high school, and it was a low-income building in the Pearl District here, which is a high-end area for Portland, but the city actually has certain buildings created for low income. So I was able to get my first ever apartment. I had my ironing board was my coffee table.
Yeah, nice.
It had a little nook that barely fit the mattress in there, but it was like $5.95, I think, was the rent. So it was maybe 40% of the market rent. So could we allow for some opportunities like that, right? Some more affordable opportunities that puts people on public transportation lines, which when you're getting your life going, or your career is a lower income bracket, it's a high probability that you're taking public transportation. And that's where some of these buildings that are going to need to be converted are located. So
yes,
how can we solve the housing crisis? How can we provide more low income housing and potentially, hopefully, have some sort of resolution for the homelessness issue? So
huge points. And I think we should, if we're thinking, if we can, we should help out as much as we can. We should try to fix these problems as a community, as a group of just Americans, people, the country. We should try to fix this problem. It's a real problem. Housing crisis, inventory, spots for low income and homeless. Just housing in general, we have issues and we need to fix them.
Great points. Sorry, I just took a big swig of my coffee.
Got to get that coffee.
So bringing it down together, though, if there is anything MLO can do, we'll do the outro music.
Great jam.
We're here for you. We want to thank everybody that's been supporting the podcast. I mean, huge, right, Casey?
Huge too. And I'm seeing the shout outs on Facebook too, guys. We really appreciate that when you tag us in, comments and shout out for us. So just keep it up, guys. We really appreciate the following too for all the podcasts and the followings we're getting on our YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, we're slowly bringing together those educational shorts on our YouTube channel. If you could go on there and subscribe, like, so you get notified every time we put out a new video, much appreciated. All of our podcasters out there, if you ever want to join the movement of the MLO podcast, hit us up there, write a little review for us. That helps us. But as we're putting on more and more content, we're coming up and up on the rankings and the downloads, and it's been really, really fun. And most of those people have never seen our faces. So if you're listening to this episode, hop on our Facebook Live, our YouTube, check us out.
You see what we look like.
And if you're just a watcher, we do appreciate that as well. But go on the flip side.
Go on the flip
Try
side.
that podcast. MLO. You can download it, subscribe, check it out. All our 30 plus episodes thus far, right there for the grabbing.
And don't forget our industry partners. You guys can use this for your business as well. Podcasts, you can text. You can text podcasts to clients.
Big technology movement, right?
Big technology.
I love it. Perfect, everyone. So, Casey, thanks so much for taking the time on Friday. I appreciate it, my man.
Yeah, absolutely. The show is where I like to be. So,
yeah.
Till next time.
Once again, you are listening to
MLO.
Catch y'all later.
Happy Friday, everybody.
We can just jam out for a second.
Yeah, no, it's good. Let it ride.